Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Yesterday our discussion was if market opens somewhere here and comes down and gives a positive reaction from this demand, or from this demand we'll take a call option. Or the second option which we discussed was if market goes higher, hunts this liquidity and reaches this supply, then we can try a short. This is what we discussed. So let's see how market behaved here. So if I do a bar replay here, if I switch to 5 minutes time frame, and if I refine this demand to this particular small imbalance candle, so market came down and market tapped. Okay, so if you see here the structure, this was a high. From here I'm just drawing the structure, and it came a new high before breaking the structure, right? Effectively this is your new high which broke the structure, and from here market came and we wanted a closure above this before taking the market higher. This is how we always plan, right? Yeah, so let's see what happened. Market gave a closure. Okay, so the moment market gave a closure, I made an entry here. Yeah, so this was my entry point in the second candle, and I kept the stop loss at this demands, whichever demand we had, right, as a stop loss here, and I targeted the next open supply, whichever we discussed yesterday, or even the high of today's session can be kept as a target. For simplicity's sake, I kept this liquidity point as my target. Okay, so allowing the market to play, market came back and hit my SL. See, this is part of trading. Every day I used to show you the profits. Today is one such day where our trade did not work out the way we had planned and we had executed. The lesson which we have to learn from this is an inducement zone. Okay, so the market, although this is a correct zone for this particular price of action, market will go and check for the last imbalance zone whichever is available. Market came down, went up, came down, and it never gave a closure above this candle, and market broke this demand. Okay, no problem. See, if you are planning your trades, always keep your quantity size limited, because losses are also part of the game. If you wanted to survive in this market for a long time, you need to make sure that you don't keep your quantity size in a huge one, so that when the trade goes against your setup, meaning this particular scenario, the trade went against our setup, so it's fine. I am okay to take this loss. Losses are also part of this particular share market. If you wanted to trade and only wanted to make profit, it is not possible. You need to make sure that you are accepting the losses whenever your trade plan does not work out. So this is a classic example as to, like, every system, every single system whichever you see in the market, every single indicator whichever you use will have a failure rate, because market is always a game of probabilities. If you toss a coin 50 times or even 100 times, can you guarantee that half of the tosses will be heads and half of the tosses will be tails? No, it is a random game of probability. We only have to take a calculated risk. That is why we always keep a strict stop loss for all our trades. Anyways, moving forward. Yeah, so from weekly range we'll start. We will mark as usual the narrative building. We will mark the current week's high and earlier significant week's low. Okay, if we see here, this is a swing point which we can target for next week. Okay, and from weekly perspective, what we can see is market has come down, gone up, come down, gone up, and given a small closure, and it has given a change of character. Now if market has to come down, it has to retrace to a supply, or it has to come and react from a demand, right? This is how always market works. So from weekly perspective, we have one significant supply which helped us to break this structure, and from weekly perspective we also see that there is a significant demand. So the high of this candle is 24,904.80. The low of this week is 919. So there is a little bit of imbalance still left out. So moving on, let's see if there are any significant points in day's chart. Yeah. So from day's chart perspective, we can even narrow down the range a little bit. So there is scope for market to come down all the way here. And this is the supply which we have in a day's chart, right? And the point to be noted is there is one more supply, which is an extreme supply left for the market, which is yet to be untested. Let's see if we can narrow down the ranges a little bit on 4 hours also. Yeah, and 4 hours also we noted that there is a liquidity point here in form of equal highs. I'll just mark that also. The best case scenario for market for Tuesday session, Monday being a holiday, for Tuesday session would be if market opens pretty big gap up. Why am I saying this? Just understand. The reason why I'm saying market should open pretty big gap up is all the people would have carried forward put. Okay, every single person as part of today's session would have thought like market is going down, it will go down massively, this is where market is going to go, let me buy put and hold, and if market gives a very big downward movement I will have huge profit. This is what everybody would be thinking. Market will not give you obvious trades. Understand this point very clearly. Market will not give you obvious trades. And one more thing is this will not hold. Reason being, there is again a equal high here. That's a good point to be noted. So this supply will not hold because there is again equal highs here. This is from 1 hour's perspective. I'm just defining the ranges and drawing any other supplies whichever we can note down. And okay, so one of the comments I saw that I was asked what indicator do I use for marking the structure and imbalance. I will leave those indicator names in the comments so that you can also add them. These are all free. There is no charges involved for this. It's free of cost. Anyone can add them. If market opens pretty big gap up on Tuesday, either through news or whatever the case may be, let it open, and I want a 15 minutes closure here above this liquidity point. If I get a sweep, then market will come down. Understand this. If I don't get a closure, there are high chances market will again come down. So if I get a closure properly above this 15 minutes time frame, there are high chances market can go all the way till at least this point 678 point before having a reversal. In case if the market wants to reverse, or if it wants to continue, it can even continue all the way here. The reason why we are doing this is if people have carried forward put, okay, what will happen? Just think, if market opens pretty big gap up on Tuesday, if people have carried forward put, they will have a very big loss, right? If they have very big loss, the first intention would be they will be closing their trades. Okay, and second intention would be once put trades are being closed, call trades they would enter to compensate the losses whichever they had. So what will be the scenario in market? Puts will be closed, calls will be added on. When the huge number of calls are being added to the market, there will be a huge rally to the upside. This is why I am saying there can be a possibility only and only if market opens pretty big gap up and gives a 15 minutes closure above this level 25,430. Okay, what about gap down? So if market opens gap down, it is going to be very bad for Indian economy. The reason why I'm saying this is this has to give a positive reaction from here. Otherwise, it is going to be very tough for Indian economy to survive, because below this there is no significant point for market to have a support, at least till whatever ranges we marked in weekly. So we marked this range in weekly. If this is going to not hold, then the next significant point, whichever we have in weekly, is the demand, which is very, very far off. That far off demand is somewhere around 23,000 level. And that is going to be like 1,000 points fall. I'm not saying 1,000 points will be happening in one day session, but the chances of it happening in a month's time is going to be very, very faster, because if there is no support, meaning if there is no buyer control available from the market will eventually fall all the way till here. This is the gap which is yet to be filled, right? So once this particular demand is not holding, market will go and search for the next possible demand, either from here or from here. It will go and search it, and if the buyer control is available, well and good. Otherwise, there is going to be even deeper fall. Okay, what about upside? It's going to be simple. If this liquidity sweep is being hunted and market breaks the structure, then we will be worrying only about the last leg of price action. Okay, so coming back to 15 minutes, gap up we discussed. Okay, and in case of gap down also we discussed. Flat and market going up is not ideal. Flat and market coming down is also not ideal. Why am I saying this? Market is in a middle point from where we are. Okay, 25,400 is the 435 is the liquidity point which we are marked. 25,000 700 is the demand which we are marked. Market is in 300 points from here, 300 points from here. Market will become extremely volatile, and Tuesday being expiry, market will show so much drama here. It will go up, come down, and again go up, come down. So it's going to be a complete mess. So I would strongly suggest, if market opens flat on Tuesday, close the screen and do some other work. If market opens gap up, good for us. Gap down, good for us. Flat is completely not going to be ideal for us to trade. Okay, I would another thing I would strongly suggest is, there is 3 days time frame. Okay, spend as much time with your family. Don't worry too much about trading. The reason why I'm making this video on Friday itself is that if you watch this video today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, make sure you spend so much time with your family and go out with them. Spend quality time with them. Don't worry too much about trading. Don't worry too much about charts and all. If you are interested to study, if you wanted to spend time to understand market, learn by yourself, there is a course which I have designed, which covers all the topics, which will help you from a beginner trader all the way to an advanced trader. I will put a link to that course in this description. If you are interested, you can contact me for further details. Thank you so much for watching. We'll meet in the next educational video.